The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi everybody, this is Monica Main and welcome to my very special four-part series on wealth attraction. So I'm going to actually start the series out with a couple of different things. One, I'm actually going to get you in the mindset mode and tell you exactly how and why you need to change your mindset in order to be able to not only attract wealth but to become a very good, awesome, wealth-attracting, kick-ass entrepreneur. Because let's face it, it's just not going to be about you buying a lottery ticket and winning, $200 million at the Powerball. You're actually going to go out there in the real world and either invest in property or become an aggressive income, multimillionaire through a very strong business that has a huge cash flow for you, or both. Ideally, you're going to be doing both. So that's the reality of the situation. There is no easy button in life. You're not going to be able to just click an easy button that's on your desk to be able to make millions of dollars simply by understanding and learning how these wealth attraction techniques work. You actually do have to apply it to some certain degree in the real world of commerce. And so I'm going to be discussing how to start changing your mindset and getting you in the right and proper mindset, how to do that as quickly as possible, because I think one of the biggest problems with most of my students in this day and age is that they actually don't do the mindset stuff first, and they just start jumping into an investment opportunity or some kind of new aggressive income business strategy. And if you don't do the mindset stuff first, you're not going to be able to make it happen because there's going to be too many obstacles that start to come up. The first little element of difficulty, and you're running off to the hills and you don't want to do it anymore and you're throwing in the towel. So you have to understand the mindset part of it first in order for you to even think about becoming a multimillionaire, using these wealth attraction strategies. So we're going to cover that first, and then we're going to cover the outside element of wealth attraction, which I'm going to discuss in further detail as we go along with this. And remember, this is a four-part series, so total I'm imagining that there's going to be a minimum of 4 hours of video when everything is said and done, but I'm thinking that there's going to be a lot more than that. I'm guessing maybe 5 or even up to 6 hours of video by the time we're done with this four-part series. So remember, all of these are going to be recorded, and you're going to be able to view them later on so that you don't have to worry about missing out in the event that you have to leave or you're unable to make any of the sessions. They will be all available for viewing later. However, I will be concluding all 4 of these first before I'm going to be giving up any of the videos to anybody. So please don't ask for the videos ahead of time until all 4 of them are complete. And then you will be able to have access to all 4 videos. And then also too, they do need to go in order. This is video 1, then there's going to be video 2, 3, and 4. So they do have to be viewed in order for you to get the most out of it. So here we are doing a live presentation on wealth attraction, and I'm going to get you started with the mindset stuff first and understanding exactly how the mindset stuff works first before we get involved in what we call the exterior wealth attraction strategy that I use, which is the first of the 4 that you need to focus in on. And by the way, to get the most out of these, it's good that you start the process of actually doing the strategies that I work on in each video, in each presentation, so that you understand and you can actually work through and get it all done as we're going along, since every presentation is going to be probably on the long side. Okay, so here we go. My secrets to wealth attraction are a little bit different than everybody else's. You're probably used to watching all of the videos, maybe The Secret, or different ones that are out there that talk about different things, and they can kind of miss the mark. And I'm not going to actually reveal my true secret, the base bottom line secret, until probably the 3rd or 4th video. So I'm going to talk about the exterior elements, but first we're going to get into your mind and work on what's going on there first. And then we're going to talk about how to change your immediate environment to start attracting wealth immediately. So let us begin. All right. Now first, here's the deal. The bottom line is this. If you don't understand why you want to have the wealth, why you want to attract the mansion or the sports car, all the other stuff that you want, and there's no why behind it, then you're just simply not going to get it. You're not going to have enough motivation. You're not going to have enough need or want or desire to go out there and actually do it, because let's face it, the reality of the situation is being an investor, being an entrepreneur is hard work. It's not something that happens overnight. There's processes involved, and there's processes. I'm working on a new product line right now with one of my new businesses, and I was just thinking about it today. There's actually lists upon lists. I keep very meticulous things to do lists, and sometimes there's lists inside of lists. So I'll have a list, say for example, on my broader list, I have to build a new website. So obviously under that there's going to be lists of things that I have to do with the new website, including integrating the merchant service, including finding pictures or taking pictures for the website of the products, and then within that, there's having a professional take the background off of my picture so that it's just a white background, which I don't do that. I have professionals do that for me. I find them on Fiverr.com, by the way, to do stuff like that for me. So there's processes within the processes, and you know, a lot of these people that are kind of ignorant when it comes to building wealth, especially all the, you know, the ignorant people that I see. I'll look at different book reviews for entrepreneurship books that are out there, and you always have some idiot with the 1 or 2 star review on the book that says, oh, you know, he didn't give me the secrets to wealth and building my business exactly. Well, come on. You know, first of all, a lot of the business strategies that they teach, especially with online marketing and things like that, those things change very quickly. I mean, those strategies don't last very long. And considering the fact that it takes about 1.5 to 2 years to bring a book to press after it's completely written, I mean, people need to understand. I mean, people are not going to be able to reveal the exact step-by-step details of how to build an online business, for example, in a book, because by the time it actually ends up to press and in your hands, it's already way outdated, and they would be doing a disservice to you. But the other thing, too, is that, you know, they tell you maybe in some books, at least my books, the elements of you know, emulating other people's success and looking at other people's websites out there to see what's already making millions of dollars for people, and then emulating that by hacking their websites and doing different things like that. And so people don't understand that there's processes, that there's all work involved, that there's things you have to figure out how to do. I can't tell you what the ultimate investing vehicle will be for you, but because what works for me is not going to work for you. I can't tell you what the ultimate, most kick-ass business opportunity is for you, because what I like isn't going to be what you like. And so what we need to do, obviously, is to start off with what your whys are, and then start processing maybe different business opportunities that you have an affinity for, different investment things that you have an affinity for, that you like, that are different than mine. So I can't give you an exact blueprint. I mean, I can give you my exact blueprint, which I do in my courses and my stuff that I teach my students, but it might not be what you should be doing or what you want to do. So the first thing for you to do is to decide what your why is, because, you know, you might look at the media and, you know, Kim Kardashian and all the stuff that, you know, Kanye and Kim have together, and you might want all of that, but you need to first dissect what does that mean for you? I mean, do you just want that because you saw the latest TMZ clip and you saw them in their latest, you know, Bentley, and that's why you want that because they have it? Or do you really want it for a different reason? So you do need to dig, you know, as far as, you know, why you're wanting to do this. So, you know, what are you doing? In other words, why are you doing this? What are you going to do to get it? And those are the things you need to focus in on. So more recently, you know, for me, I had to change my whys. When I had my daughter almost 9 years ago, I actually had to change my entire focus of my business and everything. So my why actually completely shifted from making tons of money just 'cause to my daughter and making sure I could do the best for her and best by her. So I really do have a tight schedule all the time. I make sure that I am able to pick her up from school every day. Go to all of her things, like her little recitals and her plays and all that stuff. That's all very important to me. Also, too, to be able to keep my businesses going to where I can afford to take her on trips. We're going to be going to Europe this summer, you know, and it's because of my businesses and my investments that I'm able to actually do that for her. So it's a very fine balance for me. But lately, I've been shifting into some different, I guess you could say, different goals and different dreams that I have, because I don't want to live where I'm living anymore. So as soon as my daughter's done with the 6th grade, I decided that we're going to be moving to the beach. At least that's what my plan is for now. And so that's what I'm starting to put out there into the universe, is that I want to move toward the beach. And so I'm probably going to take the house that I have now, and I'm probably going to rent it out and then buy another house, you know, somewhere else. So, you know, that's what I'm already starting to put out there. So I have a different goal set now, and I have a strong reason as to why I want to do that. I've always wanted to live by the beach. I can't stand my neighbors here where I'm living, and so, you know, I have different very strong reasons. Whether they're positive or negative reasons, it doesn't matter what the reasons are as long as they're strong. So you might have a very, very strong reason as to why you want to start your own business and make $10,000, $15,000 in profits a month. And maybe that's because you hate your job. And just because you have a negative why doesn't mean it's any less relevant. In fact, the more negative and angry-ridden that you are about it, it actually creates a very strong position for you, because then you're more motivated to get out of that situation. So unlike a lot of those positive thinking books out there where, God forbid, if you have a negative thought, then you're going to be crucified. It's like, no, you need to be able to understand how to use those negative thoughts and those anger-fueled beliefs that you have to be able to direct you in the positive direction that you want to go in. So, first of all, you do need to analyze, where you want to be in your life, where you want to go, and why you want that. I mean, it better be a stronger reason than to be like the Kardashians, because that's really not a good reason. So you have to have a really good stronghold as far as what you want. You need to write it all down. You need to tell yourself, listen, I want that beach house. And it doesn't have to be big. I'm good with, like, for me, I'm okay with like 2,500 square feet or 3,000 square feet. I mean, that's good enough for me. I can even go less than that, but I have so much shit that I need I need more room for all of my stuff, which I'm actually, that's the other thing too. I'm actually starting the process of getting rid of all of this stuff in my life, which is one thing you're going to be doing as well in this particular segment that we're going to be presenting today. So you need to start thinking about why you're doing what you're doing, what you want to do, and if you're willing to do the processes necessary to become wealthy. So you really need a strong why. For most people, they just don't want to die in a 10 by 10 cubicle, an office cubicle with the fluorescent lights sucking the life out of their eyeballs and out of their soul. And that's, I don't think what human beings are really meant for anyway. And so if you have enough balls to actually step out of that and say, listen, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to start my own business, or I'm going to start investing in real estate, or I'm going to do both, and you're willing to put the extra time, effort, and energy into it, you understand that there's processes involved, and you understand that it's not a matter of you hitting an easy button and getting, the wealth that you think you deserve for doing nothing. And you understand that there is work involved and you're willing to do it, then by all means you can have that. That can be yours. Any other millionaire that's accomplished it can it should give you enough enthusiasm to understand that you can do it as well. I mean, anybody can do it as long as you're willing to put those two little hands that you have to work and actually ultimately willing to, to follow through with an actionable plan. But ultimately, everybody wants freedom. That's what everybody wants. The freedom to be able to not be chained down to a desk, the freedom to not have to ask somebody to be able to use the restroom during the day when you're at work, just the freedoms to be able to take a vacation. Like I could technically take a vacation anytime I want. I usually travel for a minimum of a month a year, and that's usually 2 weeks at a time I'll do, and then sometimes a week or 10 days at a time. Lately, I've been traveling for about 5 or 6 weeks a year for the last couple of years, and it just, all of the stuff that I have going on allows me to do that, and I think everybody wants that type of lifestyle. I enjoy working, by the way. Most people, try to do this to avoid work. I actually like doing what I'm doing, so you might want to try choosing, or at least lining up, some aggressive and passive income strategies for yourself that you at least have an affinity for, that you like to do, because you're going to have to do something anyway. There's so many of these people out there that are peddling the whole do what you love and the money will come. Well, to a certain degree, yes, you can make money with just about anything and everything, but there are certain things that make more money than others. And sometimes you have to like a certain thing, not be in love with it or want to marry it or anything, but like something to a certain degree where you're like, okay, I could do this for 10 years, make some money from it, and then maybe sell the business or something, but at least it'll get me to ultimately to what I want to be or do, which is have the freedom to do what I want to do. So start thinking about different businesses and different strategies that will bring you to the freedom that you're looking for. So this is typically what everybody wants, They want the freedom with their family, spend more time with the family. They want to go on trips everywhere. They want to have their nice house. They want to have, the jewelry and the things that they want to purchase, and then they want to have their nice cars. I mean, that's typically what everybody is looking for, the same exact stuff. But again, it comes down to what are you willing to do for it? What are you willing to do for it? Because again, there is no easy button. There isn't any, I'm going to press a button and all this stuff is just going to come to me. However, the cool thing about opening yourself up to all these wealth attraction strategies is that if you don't have an idea of how to get this stuff, or you don't have a path, or you don't know the right people, or you need loans to do stuff and you don't have the access to it, by creating this wealth attraction type of agenda for yourself, you're going to be able to pull all of the resources that you need into you automatically without having to tread uphill to get to it, and it'll start coming to you. So again, you do live in a world where commerce is required to be able to have money deposited in your bank account. So because those are the rules of the earthly plane, you do have to abide by that and understand that you're going to have to put out a product or service out there to be able to get money from people to be able to afford the lifestyle that you're looking for. So the cool thing about using the universe for everything is that the universe can also too give you the resources that you need. If you feel that you're lacking, you don't know enough people, you need a business partner maybe, you need, maybe an investor partner or something, the universe could help pull all of these people to you as long as you are very clear and very specific on what you're asking for. I have issues with the whole being holy, and you're this broke little monk that's sitting in this church, and it's holy for you to sit there and pray all day and have no money. But it's like I've been able to help so many more people. I donate to all kinds of charities. My big thing, of course, is charities that have to do with single moms, funding businesses for single moms, and also to charities for children as well as animals. I'm a big animal fanatic. I'm an animal lover like you wouldn't believe. So anything that has to do with animals, because they're so helpless and there's so many abusive people out there, which is just, it just racks my brain. I cannot understand why anybody would be abusive to an innocent little animal or a child. I just don't get it at all. But for me, being able to have the money to be able to share to help organizations like that, I mean, is much more powerful, even from a spiritual standpoint, even from a religious standpoint. It's much more powerful to be able to actually give money to these organizations than sit around and praying and being able to defend why you're so broke all the time, but you're holy and you go to church every Sunday, so therefore it's okay. It's like, no, it's not okay. You're not helping anyone. You're helping no one if you don't have any money. So if you have an issue with religion and money, the Bible quote, money is the root of all evil, it's like, then you're really conning yourself, because that's really not what that means. Basically, people are the root of evil when it comes to money. I was just explaining this to somebody the other day, and how I don't have a relationship with my brother or my dad because they both ruined the relationship due to always having their hand out and wanting to ask me for money all the time. So it was never me that's changed. I've never changed at all at any point in time in the relationship with them. They were the ones who changed and how they wanted to treat me, because when I started having a lot of money, they always came around just for the money, and they never picked up the phone to say hi or how you doing or anything like that. It was just for the money all the time. So they were the ones that changed. And you'll notice this too, when you become wealthy, you're going to have family members and friends that change as well on you. You're not going to be the one that changes. You're going to be the one that, well, at least I hope you're not the one that changes. But they're going to be the ones that change around you, because a couple of things are going to happen. There's the jealousy. So there's the bucket and the crab syndrome, to where all the crabs are trying to get out of the bucket, and everybody's stepping on each other and trying to get out first, and they don't care who they're stepping on as far as their friends and family members go, because it's trying to step on everyone else to get out of the bucket, or so that would be the jealousy component, or standing there with their hand out saying, oh, you must owe me in some way because you're the one who made the money and I can't, or I didn't. They'll have 900 excuses as to why they're such a loser, and you'll feel bad and you'll give them the money, and the second you stop giving them money, that's when they disappear. So it's true when they say it's lonely at the top, and that I think a lot of my students always wonder, why do I use the term see you at the top? And I don't think a lot of my students really realize why I do that, because what a lot of my students don't understand is that I don't have a lot of family and friends to rely on for basically anything. And so because of this, I have my students that are my family to me and my friends. That's part of the reason why I don't ever give up the training side of my global success business, because even though I get sick of it every so often and I pull back and I stop doing as many trainings and as many seminars, The thing is, I always keep going back and doing it because I enjoy being with my students. I have some amazing, amazing students that I've had friendships with over the years that have stayed the night at my house sometimes, and that we hang out and we do stuff together. And one of my students, Tori, she went to Hawaii with me this past April, and she's a student of mine. Everybody thinks she works for me. She doesn't. She's a student of mine. And so when I say see you at the top, I want to see how many of you I can bring up with me so that I can see you at the top, because it really is lonely at the top, and I want to see as many of you at the top as possible, because that just means more friends and family for me. So if that kind of makes sense as far as why I say that all the time. So I'm hoping that you guys do come and rise to the top as quickly as possible so that you can join my realm and my world, which it does get very lonely, because yes, when your friends and family start to disconnect from you because you're tired of giving everybody a free ride, they will start to disappear. But they're not real friends and they're not real family, so you need to tell yourself that as well. So to you, which is holy? If you're one of these religious people that is like, oh, it's not going to be holy if I make a lot of money, is it holy that you're standing there and you can't help anyone, especially people in need, kids in need, shelters in need? There's a lot of grassroots organizations that are in severe need of money to be able to help, and they're grassroots. We're not talking about the people that are on TV. They're advertising the poor little animals, shivering in the snow, and Sarah McLachlan singing in the background. Those are the organizations you typically do not want to donate to, because by law they only have to contribute, I believe it's about 2 to 3% of the total gross revenues that come in from charity donations to the actual cause itself, and the rest go to CEO salaries and marketing and all these other expenses. So I typically look for what we call grassroots types of organizations to donate to, whereas they don't really have any overhead. The CEOs, there aren't any. There might be an owner-operator, and he or she barely takes any money just to support themselves, and they usually have a full-time job on the side just to make sure that their animals are taken care of, or their children are taken care of, or whatever they're doing to help support society and mankind as a whole. And those are the people that I look to donate to. So those, one day when you do make it, which you will make it if you stay on this course, those are the charity groups you should also look into donating to, and that's when you make a huge, huge difference in people's lives and in animals' lives, and in the lives of whatever you're contributing to. So it's not holy at all to be broke. There's nothing wrong with corporate America, or yeah, everybody every so often will have a greed story about the pharmaceutical companies or whatnot, but for as a whole, if you actually took the amount of the percentages of businesses out there, you'd notice that the vast majority of them are small home-based businesses or small businesses that are corporations, and not massive, large C corporation America is not what they are, traded on Wall Street. That's actually not the largest percentage of corporations. Yeah, it might be the largest percentage by gross sales, but it's certainly not the largest percentage by actual corporations that are filed. And so the majority of the corporations out there are actually, mom and pop types of organizations, very small businesses, some of them home-based. That's what supports America. And so when you're talking about corporate America, you're also including them as well, and they are no different than you and I. They have a business and they're just trying to make it. That's all they're trying to do. So so you have to kind of change how you think about that whole perspective, because it's not the way you think it is. So you have to stop watching the news. I strongly, strongly recommend that you stop watching the news, because it really is destructive to how you think. I don't agree with most of what Donald Trump says, but when he talks about fake news, he's probably not too far off from that. I think a lot of it is just manipulation to put people in a state of fear, or manipulate people into thinking something. So you might want to stop watching the news, because it really isn't beneficial to you at all in the long run. It just puts you in this kind of this fearful, depressed type of state of being, which is not where you need to be if you want to start attracting money into your life. So these are the types of things that you see and watch on the news, and and it makes you fearful. It makes you not want to move forward, not want to progress forward, and it kind of gives you this sense of loss of hope and I don't want to see any of you in that. And then when, of course, you feel the sense of loss and loss of hope by watching the news or by succumbing to all of the fearful thoughts and ideas out there, whether it's from your friends and family, whether it's from watching the news, whether it's from watching Dateline or whatever it is that you're watching, then you start to attract all of this stuff to you, and then you push that back out into the universe by vibrating at a very low energy level, and then therefore you get everything that you're vibrating at this lower energy level. The whole idea is to raise that energy level to start attracting the things that are at the higher energy level, not constantly be vibrating at the lower energy level. So the more you watch the news, the more you believe all of this naysayer nonsense, the more you keep vibrating at the lower level, and all you're going to attract is all of this. Even if you're saying good things to yourself like I am rich or I am great or I'm this or I'm that, if you're still vibrating at this lower level, that's all you're going to ever attract for yourself. All right? Now, sometimes there are real challenges. Like I have a lot of students from a variety of different backgrounds, and I've heard all kinds of different things. Like, there's, cultural, differences between all of us, racial differences. There's, being a woman in business has always been difficult for me, especially in the commercial investing track. And it's getting better as the years go on, but, it's difficult every so often, especially when I'm doing deals in different areas of the country like Texas and so forth. It's sometimes difficult. Sometimes people think that they're too young. Sometimes people have issues, with the English language barrier issue because they're from a different country. Some people think they're too old. Some people are, have medical issues or, have lost their ability to walk or physically cannot do certain things. So sometimes you actually do have those obstacles, but there's always ways around every single obstacle. So you have to stop selling yourself that obstacle. So, to start off, you might not have the things that you think you might need, such as money or credit, which I teach my students how to build, personal and business credit. So I teach you how to do that. I teach you how to get investor partners, but you might not have access to that right away. But in the very least, though, what you can do is you can actually remove the obstacle by creating the ability for you to actually have education. So you can at least remove that obstacle by at least starting the process of educating yourself, maybe on a new business, maybe on building business credit, maybe on doing something with the investing realm, but you can start the education process. I'm constantly educating myself. A lot of my students are shocked and amazed that I still do that. I still attend seminars. I don't attend real estate seminars because those are bogus. And one of my students and I were discussing that recently about how bogus the real estate seminars are, and it's just that they just sell you on hype, and then they sell you on thousands of dollars worth of coaching and counseling and all this other stuff, usually by a person who's never invested in anything and is some minimum wage employee. But they're not there to actually give you the education. I think I'm one of the only ones out there that actually gives a really good real estate education. But that's why I don't ever go to seminars like that ever. But I do a lot of looking at the psyche of purchasing, what makes people want to purchase certain things, psychology, human psychology. I study all that stuff. I study marketing and sales like you wouldn't believe. I still study copywriting because I enjoy all that stuff. So I'm always flying out to different events to do that. Writing, I study writing. So you can always study too. It doesn't matter how successful you become. As long as you're doing something you enjoy, you're going to want to study it anyway, just to keep up on the latest things, because as I mentioned, the internet stuff, what people don't understand is that changes very quickly, and you got to constantly be doing new strategies and learning new things on that. So those that say that they know everything, there's just no freaking way that anybody can know everything, especially since everything keeps changing. So you can pick up a book, you can start reading, you can go to the library, you can start educating yourself, so you can at least start the process of removing the obstacle of education. But mostly the blocks have to do with what's between your two ears there, which is in your brain and how your brain is wired. You need to start removing those blocks because those blocks are what's holding you back. It's what gets you to a certain point in follow through and then having you stop the follow through. Usually when you stop the follow through, it has something to do with the fact that you psych yourself out. You say, oh, I can't do this because my husband said I can't, or my wife says I can, or my dad says I can, or my mom says I can, or my Aunt Millie told me about how my Uncle Ben failed in this one enterprise and I shouldn't try to do this, so therefore I'm not going to do this. And so I don't know if you've noticed, but many of my students, they end up following through to a certain degree, and then they stop. They stop cold turkey somewhere in the middle of the process before they're able to actually attain the success that they're looking for. And this is the problem. One of the things that I talked about in one of my seminars, I think it was last year or the year before, I said one of the meetings that I had with one of my investor partners years ago, I stopped in the middle of the conversation and I started looking at his hands. And I asked all of my seminar participants, because I had this epiphany at that moment, this realization, and I started looking at my seminar students, and I'm like, what do you think I saw at that moment that made all the difference as far as my personal obstacles when it came to investing in real estate? You know, like bigger projects. And everybody was guessing, you know, oh, he's got his nails manicured, or he takes good care of his skin on his hands, or stupid answers like that. And I thought it was funny. And so what it came down to was, no, what I realized is that there was those two hands that built this multi-billion-dollar real estate enterprise that he has. And I have two hands too, so there's really no difference between me using my two hands versus him using his two hands. I mean, he was using his two hands to pick up the phone and call people. He was using the two hands to sketch out different plans that he had for different real estate projects. He was using those two hands to write checks and you know what I mean, sign contracts and all the good stuff that came along with all the projects that he was doing. And I could use my same two hands to do the same two things or same things that he was doing as well. And everybody can. That was my point. Anybody and everybody can use their two hands to be able to do the things that, I mean, literally anything you want to do. The thing is, most people choose not to do that because of what's going on between their two ears, what's going on in the wiring of their brain and what they believe they can and cannot do. And so that's the part that intrigues me the most as far as why people get to a certain point and then they stop. And there's a couple of different problems here. One is that people are just not focused enough. People are, I would say, more unfocused than ever. I think most people have the attention span of a goldfish. In fact, I want to say my goldfish probably has a longer attention span than most people because people are distracted with Facebook and their apps on their iPhone and just all of these different things on top of having polluted air because the Air Force is blowing up all those chemtrails to try to, you know, alter, I guess, the greenhouse gases that we have that's creating global warming. So we have the after effects of breathing all that crap in the air plus all the rest of the pollution. We have GMOs in our food supply now and food just isn't the same anymore. We have people that are getting sicker and sicker as time goes on because of a variety of different reasons, including stress, including our water supply, including everything. And that on top of being completely unfocused with the media and our phones and just everything else that's going on, people are more unfocused than ever. So it's very difficult for them to stay on track with anything. So you really do need to come down to some level of discipline and say, you know what, I'm shutting off my internet service for now. So I'm going to use this laptop that has no internet service to finish this task I have to do on my things to do list for my business. I need to stop talking to so-and-so on the phone who's wasting blocks of my time during the day. I need to stop watching the freaking news and watching these stupid TV shows like The Bachelor and Dancing with the Stars, and, you know, and really start to pay attention to how you're spending your time and start really focusing in on, you know, changing your life. And changing your life means, how am I allocating my time? I only have so much time during the day, and I have only so much time during the week, the month, and the year. So how am I wasting all this time, and where can I circumvent the use and refunnel my time that I'm wasting? Can I write a sales letter during that time? Can I build a website during that time? Can I maybe listen to the seminar on how to, you know, invest in real estate during that time? What can I do that would be more productive rather than wasting my time doing all these other things? And you'll really start to realize and see a huge leap and bound in how your whole life starts to change if you start redirecting how you're spending your time. And so, you know, again, you know, finding the outlets to educate yourself, using that education, but also making and creating an actionable plan, and most importantly, actually doing the plan is the most important part. So that's the part most people don't do. And you need to understand where the obstacles are. And I can tell you right now, I just told you where all the obstacles are. You're not focused. You're not passionate enough about anything specific. You might not even know what direction or what business or what type of investment vehicle you want to follows through with. And you can start using the universe to ask these questions, but you have to start refocusing first. You have to start seeing where the devastation is in your life. And I can tell you, it's the people around you that are the naysayers and they're negative. It's the news. It's you being depressed about everything that's going on, and it's you're not healthy enough. I can tell you that as well. And we're going to be covering all of these things in the next 4 videos and the next 4 presentations that I'm going to be doing. But we want to start removing those blocks so that we can actually see over this wall out of the cesspool that we've created for ourselves. And the first thing to do is just start disconnecting from the world, actually, from the media, from the internet, from Yahoo News, from all the naysayers, all the time wasters, all the time vampires. Start disconnecting from all of those people, and you will now start to see what you need to do to create an actionable plan, but most importantly, following through with that actionable plan. So we need to start looking at your brain wiring and why you're thinking the way you're thinking. There's probably a lot of programming in there that unfortunately I can't go in and rip out all your programming and rip out all your and reprogram your entire brain. But what I can tell you though is this: everything out there is that you want to do has been done already by people that have 2 hands just like you, and the only difference between you and them is that they actually got up off their ass and pursued what they wanted, and you still haven't yet. So the only reason that they have versus you that hasn't is that they decided that their fears of success, fears of failure, fears of whatever the hell they had fears of, was less important than actually trying and going for it. So for some reason, you've allowed these fears to hold you back and pin you back down in that chair. You decided that the fears were just not worth the risk. You decided that you didn't want to throw the dice on the deal or get up and move forward on it for one reason or another, and you need to start pulling the trigger and starting to do it. I have the story in my seminars, which is actually very, very true, and that is I've been working with students for, I can't even tell you how many years now. It's been a long time. And my smart students are usually the ones that never succeed, and my dumb students are the ones that usually do. And there's a reason behind this. You see, my smarter students, especially the ones that have degrees and all this other stuff, they talk themselves out of success time and time again because they've subscribed to the mentality of you have to get a job, work yourself up through the corporate ladder after, of course, you have 12 different degrees, and then you can retire a lofty lifestyle with a pension, a dog, and a gold watch. And they've subscribed to that belief system. It's so deeply ingrained in who they are. So anything that bucks that tradition is something that they are not willing to accept on a very deep subconscious level. And the people that are dummies are the ones that have not subscribed to that, or they haven't talked themselves out of success for one reason or another, or they haven't told themselves that they can't do it because they're not smart enough, or they don't have enough resources, or they're not calculating the deal correctly, and therefore they must be doing something wrong, or they haven't talked themselves out of anything for 1,001 reasons because they're too stupid to, okay? And that's working to their benefit. It's almost like the fearless puppy that just runs out and tries to, attack the crocodile who's, 5,000 pounds. It's like he doesn't know that he can't do that or shouldn't do that yet. Now that really probably wouldn't be a wise thing, but at the same time, I can guarantee you the majority of you listening to this are smart enough to at least know what you can and can't do, what you shouldn't and shouldn't do. Like, for example, you don't want to go to the top of, the Empire State Building and jump off and think that you could fly because, obviously you're probably not going to be able to make that work unless you have some kind of apparatus that allows you to fly. So, there's things that you can do, and there's things that you can't do. So if you're trying to say to yourself, well, I can't do this business because, you need to have a damn good reason, and it better be, that you're on death's door, because nothing else would be acceptable for you to tell yourself that you can't do it, because there's thousands of people before you and thousands of people after you that will do that business successfully and make a lot of money doing it. There are thousands of people before you and thousands of people after you that will make millions and millions of dollars from passive income real estate. Why can't it be you? Why shouldn't it be you? And it usually falls down to you being fearful and then you therefore doing nothing about it. So we need to start removing all of these beliefs. We need to start removing the fear. We need to start removing your inability of wanting to get off your ass and just going out there and doing it. And of course, removing any of the obstacles that you believe that you have, including the obstacles of not having enough resources, not having enough education, because you will start to fill up that gap with the people and the resources and the education that you need. So you need to start somewhere. You got to start now, all right? So again, this is the kind of stuff that happens when you're vibrating at a very, very low level, especially when you psych yourself out, especially when you're full of fear, especially when people tell you you can't do it, you tell yourself you can't do it. All of a sudden, not only are you not attracting any wealth and you're not attracting any success and you're not attracting any money, but you're also attracting now all of this other crap in your life because you're vibrating at such a severely low level. And so the idea, and I will reveal all of this by the very end of our fourth video and our fourth presentation, is how to raise your energy the quickest and the fastest and the most effective way to not only start attracting all this stuff, but also to attract the resources, to attract just a very happy sense of well-being. And even if you aren't rich right now, you'll definitely feel that way. And I think the whole reason most people want to be rich is because they want to feel rich and they want to feel awesome and they want to feel good about themselves. And I'll teach you how to do that within about 5 minutes. So you don't even have to wait to get that $1 million paycheck, although it will come. It'll take a little bit of time and it'll come, but you have to start feeling that way first. All right? So too, these are other things you need to understand in life. If you're going to be going out there, there's things that you have to offer, not only on a physical level, but also on a mental and emotional level as well. And you got to tell yourself that you're willing to do anything and everything it takes to become successful. There's so many people that I deal with, and there's so many. I even got an email this morning by someone who had purchased my 100K in 100 Days book, and he was complaining about the fact that I didn't give him my exact financial. I talk about 2 different types of businesses that you get involved in. You can get involved in the consumable business, which includes health supplements as well as skincare products and different consumable products like that. Anything you can think about that people would consume is the consumable business. And then there's the financial side of the business where you can, sell stock trading courses, for example, or other types of financial products that also do well financially. So he was bitching that I talked about how in the book you could do the consumable side, but I didn't give him my exact sales letters and all this exact stuff for the financial side. And he was basically demanding it, for the $19.99 he purchased the book for. Of course, I owed him that. Well, first of all, in the deal that he had gotten, he actually got an entire swipe file of the best-selling sales letters you can ever get, and that was part of the promotional deal that I got. And if he bothered to look at the flash drive that he was mailed in the mail, he would know that, he actually had all of the best-selling sales letters for any type of financial product you could ever think of in that swipe file, which is about 1,000+ pages. And so he didn't even bother to do that. So he basically just wanted me to just give him everything. Well, these are the lazy asses that I'm talking about that will never succeed in anything because they believe everybody owes them something. They're not willing to put in any work and time and effort. And we're talking about the work of maybe putting a flash drive into his computer. He wasn't even willing to do that to find out that I had already given him the stuff that he was looking for. And so it's people like that that are never going to succeed because they're not willing to put in any effort to do anything. They think somebody else owes them something. Oh, I paid $19.99 for a book, so therefore you need to give me your multi-million-dollar business, including all of your templates to your successful sales letters and all of this and all of that because you owe me. It's like, well, no, you're never going to amount to anything, number one, because you have that attitude. And two, it takes a little bit more work than me just giving you a sales letter to actually put together a business. You have to create an S corporation. You have to, and they explain all of this in the book, by the way. He didn't bother to read any of it, I'm sure. And so, you have to be willing to put something into it, whether it's physical, whether it's some kind of mental effort, whether, emotional, but there's got to be something behind the effort. It can't just be, I push the easy button and somebody, delivers a check on a silver platter. Not only do they deliver the check, but they also go to the bank and deposit it because I'm too lazy to do that too. So you can't have that attitude. Otherwise, I can guarantee you're never going to amount to shit in this life. Never, never on any level are you going to, amount to anything. So you do have to have some level of commitment to yourself, commitment to the process, commitment to learning how to do this, commitment to actually getting off your ass and doing it, and then following through even when the tough gets tough. You just still got to keep going with it. Focus. That's one of the things I was talking about before about how people are just so unfocused. It's raising the barrier of entry, which means that you are now going to have less and less competition out there because people are becoming so unfocused that it's going to be very easy for you to start a business if you're focused. That's it. You're focused. You know what to do. You have your things to do list. You start knocking out all the items on your things to do list. You keep going forward. And just doing that while everybody else is too busy looking at their phone, you're going to be able to conquer the world. I mean, it's just going to be a very small amount of population size that's going to be able to do this and pull this off and create investment opportunities and create success for themselves because simply they're focused and everybody else isn't. You also have to have a level of commitment. Commitment to yourself, commitment to the project, commitment to your investor partner, commitment to whatever you're doing, commitment to your internet business that you're starting from your garage. You have to have some kind of commitment and follow through. So no commitment means, you're not gonna be able to make it work. Commitment obviously means that, yes, I'm willing to do everything and anything in my power to make this work for myself. But most importantly, of course, is that you have to gain confidence. You have to be able to know that you can do this. Let me give an example. My ex-husband, Ron Espinoza, some of you have met him at different seminars that I've had. He started a business that I helped him get started in called Bean Boy. And it's the name of a product that he sells, which is dark chocolate covered espresso beans, which is equivalent to drinking 3 cups of coffee if you eat a pack of his Bean Boy. And I know some of you have actually had the Bean Boy product. So he actually got started when I started doing a lot of the teachings on my distribution stuff years ago, which I don't teach that anymore, just because it's a difficult business. Not everybody can pull off doing distribution, even though it's worth millions and millions of dollars if you can do it. I give everybody the exact, blueprint on how to do it, the actual actionable things to do list and how to do it, but not everybody can pull it off. So with Ron in particular, he decided to branch off from all of the mortgage brokering that he was doing for my students and start a side business, which is this Bean Boy business. And it's all based on my distribution profit modules that I do, that I've done, and all of the teachings and the seminars that I've done on that. And so one of the things that I did for him, the only thing that I did was I named the product for him. So I named it Bean Boy, and I actually designed his packaging for him, but I didn't do anything else. I didn't do any of the promotions for him. I didn't do any of the marketing. He did all of that on his own. And what that business has shown me as well as shown him is that step by step, when you have a success, it gives you the confidence to move forward to the next account, to the next sale, to the next executive that you have to meet for a business meeting. And it's these small actionable successes, one by one, that gives you the confidence and tells your brain, yes, you can do this, yes, you know how to do this, yes, you have the ability to do this, and then it gives you the confidence to go to the next meeting, to go to the next account, to pick up the phone and call the next person to do the sales pitch to. So it's success that builds on success that gives you the option and the opportunity to go to the next success, which is ultimately what builds your confidence. So without all of these elements, I mean, you have to have the action, plus you have to see results. I mean, in sales, results are not every time. Nobody sells 100% of the time. But you have to sell some of the time to be able to give you the confidence to keep building up so that you can ultimately gain the confidence, because the confidence is what draws in more success to you. And it's not even the confidence that draws in the success itself. It actually is more of an energy thing that you start to put out to the universe saying, no, I can do this, I can conquer this, and the reason I know this is because I have done it, and I keep doing it, and I'm successful with this meeting, and I was successful with the last one, and I landed this account, and now he's up to having some very, very huge accounts. He's got 7-Eleven now regionally in the greater Midwest area, including Michigan, Ohio, Indiana. So he's got that account, and they're about to expand him out nationally with 7-Eleven. And it just all builds on one success to the next and gives you that confidence level, which the confidence ultimately does attract the success in, because it's almost, like I said, it's an energy thing. It's something I can't put my finger on. It's something I can't grab from the air. It's just something that happens because you exude out this level of confidence, knowing. It's a knowing that you can do it. And so therefore, you have the action from your actionable plan that you have. You start to see the progress as you go along. That progress gives you the confidence, so then you're more action oriented because you want to take more action. You start to see more progress because of your action, and you gain even more confidence. It just keeps building up and up and up, and so up the stairs you go, like our little screen bean dude is running up the stairs. So what if you don't know what you want yet? And what if you are kind of stuck and you're like, well, I don't know. I don't know if I want to do this kind of business or that kind of business, and I don't know if I want to sell this kind of product, or maybe I just want to get involved in real estate investing, and if so, what kind of real estate investing? Do I want to do mobile home parks? Do I want to do apartment buildings, or maybe single family home flips? I mean, what do I want to do? And so the first thing you should do is at least start writing some ideas down. What ideas? I mean, there's certain things I know you like to do. There's certain things I happen to know that you have an affinity for, that you have a liking for, and start writing those things down. And if it changes just a little, by all means, you know, let it change. Be flexible. When I first got started in real estate investing, I started off with it like everybody else. I was flipping property. And so my very first purchase was a condo that I purchased and I rehabbed and I resold it. So I ended up buying it for $55,000. I remember it was $55,555 because that's what my broker told me to bid on it because it was a HUD purchase. I was able to buy a HUD because I never used an FHA before because I was brand new in the business. And so he told me to use my FHA, get a 3.5% down payment on it. So I bid $55,555. And then in a few months after that, I ended up selling it for over $90,000. I think it was 91 something thousand dollars, and that was my very first flip. And so, you know, and then after a while, after doing so many flips and rehabs, I got really good at rehab. I got really good at flipping. I didn't like it anymore. You know, I didn't want to do it anymore, and that's when I ran into this other guy. The universe then created another path for me, and I was inquiring about a health supplement product that I wanted to sell. It was a weight loss shake, and there was this Dr. Raj down in Tustin, which is in Orange County, and I met him at his office, and we started talking about the health supplement. It was like some powder that you mix in, like, I don't know, milk or something, or water, and it's supposed to help you lose weight. So that's the reason I went down there, was to see if he could private label this stuff for me. And we ended up talking about real estate, and I'm like, oh, I've just had it with real estate. All I've been doing is flipping houses. I'm so sick of it. And he's like, flipping houses? Why would you ever do that? You know, it's like, you should do what I do. I invest in apartment buildings. And for some reason, before that time, this was in 2001, I had never, ever, 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 even in a million years, considered investing in apartment buildings. Never. I mean, it didn't even cross my mind, like it didn't even exist in my world, you know? And so he talked about it. I'm like, well, don't you need this huge down payment and this and that and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, no, you don't need all that. You need this and you need to do that. And so for 3 hours, all we talked about was real estate when I went down there to talk about like this diet shake. And we talked about that for like 5 seconds, and then we talked about real estate the rest of the time. And that is what changed everything for me. My entire history with real estate completely changed. But if it wasn't for me being on the other path, which was the flipping property path, flipping houses, I would have never ended up on the other path for apartment buildings to begin with, because I never would have talked to Dr. Raj about my flipping stuff. He would have never told me about apartment buildings. I would have probably went down there about the diet shake thing, and that's probably what we would have all talked about, and that would have been it, and I would have left. And I would have just never been put on the other path to begin with unless I started somewhere. So you do need to start somewhere. Even if you think it's the wrong path or it's not quite 100% the right path, you do need to start committing something to paper and start putting something in motion. Again, even if you think it's wrong, you do need to start putting something out there, and you need to start walking a path. That's the key word there, walking the path. Meaning you need to get up off your ass, start working the plan that you're creating for yourself, because if it's wrong, the universe will put you on a new track. But you have to start walking on a path, because, you know, the universe loves action, the universe loves activity, and when the universe actually sees that you're walking on the path and goes, that's not quite right for you, but I have something better for you, then it'll kind of like nudge you into another direction, and it'll guide you into where you want to be. So you start putting your orders into the universe. You can have quarterly. I don't like doing quarterly. I usually have annual goals for myself. Well, when I have a new company, I'll start the quarterly goals. But otherwise, I usually annually I revisit what I want to do. And then if things change during the year, I start doing something during the year. Like this year, I didn't even plan on starting a new business at all. And I ended up deciding just on a whim about a month and a half, 2 months ago, that I wanted to start this second branch of my business off by itself. And that wasn't on my things to do list in January. It just is something I just decided to do. So you should always be flexible with your list as time goes on. Then, of course, put the list away and see what happens. But you still have to start doing something. You have to start walking the plan, start going for it. But you're going to start seeing a shift that's going to happen. It's a shift that happens, you know, for you. And that is, things are going to start coming up. People are going to come into your life, or some kind of message is going to come to you, like, to put you on the right path, or some kind of phone call will happen where somebody just starts talking about the things that you want to do, and you're going to start to notice that these things start coming towards you, coming for you after you start putting it out that that's what you want to do. But it does take time, and it of course takes you to do an action plan. You have to actually get off your ass and start doing something. Start getting yourself out there. Start learning the stuff you need to do, and then start doing the stuff that you learn. I have so many students. I have thousands of students, tens of thousands of students if I actually counted them all. And there's so many that don't do anything. They buy the stuff and then it just sits on a bookshelf and some of them don't even take it out of the shrink wrap, which is really sad. But do I feel like a failure because they bought the stuff and didn't do anything with it? And the answer is no. For a long time I felt like I did, but it's just like, then I understand from my own personal perspective as a consumer, sometimes I'm just not ready for the stuff I purchase. Sometimes I don't have time for it yet. Sometimes I throw it on the back burner now, but with the intent on coming back to it later. And it's of no fault of the person who wrote the course or wrote the system or gave me the product. It's me as the consumer who's not ready for it. So that might be you as well. Maybe you purchased a course or went to a seminar and you just never did anything with it. And it's you weren't ready to do anything with it yet, or maybe it wasn't your cup of tea and you realized it wasn't. Whatever the case may be, it's not the person who put out the program or put out the seminar that didn't. Well, some people, they just put out a half-assed product, but I certainly don't. That's not anything I believe in. But you have to understand that you have to find something, try to line up with something that you're really interested in, learn everything you possibly can about it, and then do it. Just get off your ass and start doing it. That's the key there. And then, of course, once you start doing it, eventually you'll start drawing success into you. And then once you start seeing success, you'll get more success, and that success will snowball into more success and more money and more success for you. But it all starts with that one step. I mean, 1,000-mile journey does start with that first step, and you don't make the first step, you never end up being there, all right? But the key is that you have to have an actionable plan, because that will put you from point A to point B as quickly as possible, rather than being all over the board and all over the place. I had this student of mine, I believe he was part of Viper Wealth, and he's not anymore. And the problem with this student is he's super smart. He's a lawyer by trade, but he's always looking for different entrepreneurial pursuits. And he's gotten into the investing stuff with me, and he's gotten into a variety of different aggressive income strategies with me, and he's attended workshops, and then he kind of disappeared. And I believe it's because he's been following all these other gurus instead of actually taking actionable steps toward what he's ultimately trying to accomplish, which I believe is an aggressive income that's going to ultimately feed into a passive income stream like apartment buildings. And so, because he's all over the place with all these different teachers and these different things, and he's not taking enough action, he's ending up in outer space. And him, like most other students, will end up coming back to me and then back into my Monica Main world, because they all do. Because they realize what's out there. They realize most of what's out there is complete crap, and then they all come back. But then they've wasted all this time that they could have been using if they just would have streamlined the process a little bit more and went directly there. So sometimes it's okay to be the turtle and to be slower, because if you're fast and you're all over the board, you're never going to get there. So you're slowly but surely getting to your goal, and you need to give yourself permission that it's going to take some time, instead of always being in a damn hurry all the time. All of us are so much in a hurry. We want success yesterday, and we don't want to put any time, effort, and energy into creating the plan, and to first figuring out what the plan needs to be, then going and creating the plan, and then going forth and doing the plan. And then we're all over the board, and then we end up never being successful. So you do need to plot your way through and to take your time with it. And again, don't worry about taking the wrong path, because the universe will actually correct you as long as you start walking some path. So you want to stay focused. You want to figure out as much as what you can or want to do, want to create for your life. So that's the first lesson of the day, is to first figure out what it is that you want to do. Try to start figuring out all the things that are the naysayers, the negative influences, and start blocking those things out, whether they're people, whether it's the news, whether it's these shows that you're watching on TV. And then figure out where the time vampires are. And a lot of it has to do with TV. A lot of it's looking at your phone. A lot of it's wasting time on Facebook. A lot of it's wasting time talking to too many people on the phone all day. You know, so figure out where your time vampires are and start ridding all of these things, and then start creating a plan on paper. Even if you can't fully figure out what the business is going to be or what the investment vehicle is going to be, start thinking about what you'd like it to be. And the answer is not winning the lottery either. That's not the answer. The answer is what kind of business can you see yourself in? What kind of investment can you see yourself doing and partaking in? Don't worry about the resources. Don't worry about all the other stuff that you've been talking yourself out of wanting or needing to do this. Just focus on what you see yourself doing and what you see yourself enjoying doing as far as to get money. Because again, I didn't create the economic rules of the earthly plane, but they're certainly there loud and clear, and that is you do have to do something for money. In order to be legally compliant, of course, with our commerce. You don't want to be ending up in jail for, you know, bank robbery or anything like that. So you do need to do something for money. So what do you see yourself doing? Start writing all that stuff down. Where do you see yourself living? You know, do you want that beach house? And if so, how big is it? You know, where is it located? Where do you see yourself living? What kind of car do you see yourself driving? Start mapping that stuff out for yourself. Start writing it down. And most importantly, start getting rid of all of the negative influences in your life. And then you're going to start to notice that there's a shift. There's a change. Even in your demeanor, there'll be a change. And then after that, you're going to start to open yourself up to opportunities, to people. People will start showing up. Ideas will start coming at you in the middle of the night, usually at 3 o'clock in the morning. So always have a pen and a pad of paper right next to you. And, you know, always think in terms of, what can I send out to the universe for a question that I could potentially get an answer to that I could just jot down in the middle of the night. So think about that kind of stuff as well. And then have the confidence that you can do this, because you can. There's multimillionaires and multi-billionaires that started off with nothing just like you. They started somewhere, and that was by taking that first step. You know, I read this article by this executive, and I can't remember who it was, but it was in one of the Bloomberg Business Weeks that I received in the last few weeks. And she had said that her only goal in every 24-hour period was to see how far she could further her company in 24 hours. And I never forgot that quote, because it really, you could use 24 hours for a lot of things. And you can choose how you use your 24 hours. If you want to play apps on your phone, or if you want to actually use that to further your company or further your investment or further your dreams. You can choose how you use your 24 hours just like everybody else, and how they use their 24 hours as well. So that's some of the things that you can start thinking about. You know, when you start creating these maps for yourself. So here's a couple of different recommended reading materials that I have for you. There's The Trick to Money is Having Some by Stuart Wilde, my all-time New Age favorite, because he actually does honor the fact that we are on the earthly plane. We do have to do things for money, and he does it in a really fun way. It's a really fun book to read if you haven't read it. This is another one, Excuse Me, Your Life is Waiting by Lynn Grabhorn. Both of these people are dead now, but they're really good books, and they've left some legacies behind. So this is more of the new agey side, just starting the process of breaking those obstacles that are going on in your brain right now, as far as, you know, success and blocking success out. So these are two must-have books, must-read books. Here's another recommendation for you. So M.J. DeMarco wrote this book a few years ago called The Millionaire Fastlane, and I cannot recommend this book enough for those of you that really want to break past these obstacles that you have about success. I mean, he does it in a really funny way. This is probably one of the funniest books I've ever read, but he is truly a multimillionaire. He does this thing on the side where he writes these books. He's not one of these gurus that goes out and does the speaking circuit. He's really into just writing, a couple books to really help people get past the obstacles that they have. And then he just came out with this other one that just came out last week called Unscripted. These are both standalone books, by the way, so you can read them in any order. But Unscripted is amazing. I've just read the book, and it's really funny, just like his normal self, very humorous, but also really gets past these obstacles that you guys have on success. Because if you don't get past the obstacles, you're never going to get anywhere. You're never going to get past the the deal that you're having a problem with, or getting the financing for the deal that you're having issues with, or picking up the phone and making that sale. Or I mean, you're never going to get past that part if you have all of these fears and these obstacles going on in your brain. So these are two highly recommended books that you should read, you know, before, I guess you could say, you're able to actually unfold all of the wealth that you deserve by getting rid of and dissolving all the obstacles. But you first have to see what the obstacles are, and these two books really help you do that, really help you highlight those obstacles so you can get past them. Okay, so we have video number one, presentation number one down. We're going to be doing another presentation, I believe it's tomorrow, and we're going to get into the nitty-gritty on the exterior obstacles that we have that we could change to be able to start the process of creating wealth that way. And then next week we have two more presentations that we're going to be doing. Again, all of these are going to end up on video, so there's going to be a total of 4 videos. And you'll be able to view all of them at any time after I'm done with all 4. And next week we're going to be talking about the inner stuff to really attract the wealth. So next week's going to be the awesome, super hyper on steroids way and methods and secrets of acquiring wealth in your life will be presented in the 2 sessions next week. Okay, everybody, this is Monica Main signing off, and I'll see you at the top.